Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is SnipesKill here and welcome back to some World of Tanks, and today guys we are taking an exclusive look at one of Wargaming's new Tier 4 premium tanks, the T28E with the F30 85mm gun, down here at Tier 4, part of Wargaming's new Advent calendar kind of Christmas special deal. You pretty much have here with this tank, ladies and gentlemen, is you have pretty much a T28, which leads right to the KV1, but instead of having a smaller 75 or 76, it has an 85mm with actually decent performance, but unfortunately very, very bad gun handling, and this tank really suffers from a few aspects, but more on that a little later. So let's take a look at some of its stats and see how it compares to the regular T28. So taking a look on tanks GG here guys, we have the reference tank of the T28E with the F30, the T28 with the 76mm gun on the at the tier 6 level, and the T28 with the tier 6 57mm gun. So checking it out first here, we can see that the DPM of the T28E with the F30 is quite significantly lower than the T28 with the 76mm, but it is just a little bit higher than the 57mm. As well, we can see the penetration with the 85 is much better than the penetration with the 76 or even the 57 at 120. As well, the alpha damage is a lot higher, but the rate of fire is a lot lower. The reload time on this tank is 5.85 seconds, probably with fully equipped. Considering I don't have it, I wouldn't really know the exact figures, but we can also see that the weapon handling on this tank is much worse, with a 3-second aim time and 0.41 accuracy, which actually doesn't seem that bad compared to the 76 and the 57. As well, one other feature of the weapon handling is that it only has 5 degrees of gun depression instead of the 6 that the normal T28 with the 76 or 57 gets. Another crippling factor about this tank guys is that it only has a 35km top speed limit, a 500 horsepower engine, which is still the same as the T28 regular, but it only has a 15.27 power to weight ratio. And as we can see guys down here, that this tank is actually almost double, if not is double, the weight of the regular T28 when fully equipped. And pretty much all that extra weight goes into double the armor thickness, which is a lot better at the tier 4 level where HE shells have decent penetration and the T28 is really susceptible to being just completely devastated by them. But not so with the T28 F30. You are not going to be getting hit by high explosive and being penetrated and instantly killed. And with that extra armor, this tank gains more HP, with having 30 more hit points than the regular T28, which is going to be a lot better considering you're going to be able to take a lot more hits in this tank. And one other factor that might help just a little bit down at tier 4 is that it has only 10 meters better of view range, which actually isn't that bad considering Russian tanks usually suffer from really bad view range. So taking a look at it here in the garage guys, it is quite a weird looking tank. It does look exactly like the T28, but again it does have the 85. And you may be noticing something really weird about this thing. It has 6 crew members, and that is a lot of crew members in terms of Russian factors, considering this tank has pretty much the standard loadout of a loader, driver, gunner, and commander, but the weird thing is it has 2 radio operators. And considering this thing is going to be an amazing credit maker and an amazing XP maker, you're going to have a hard time finding some radio operators for this thing. So you might have to recruit them either with gold or train them completely fresh like I have here with the stock T28 crew. So one thing I tend to focus too much on here guys is more stats and everything. So I think that's enough about all this theory and pretty much looking at its stats. So let's take a look at some gameplay and see how it performs in battle. Welcome ladies and gentlemen to the T28 with the F30 85mm gun here in a tier 4 battle. A very nice matchmaking setup for this tank considering it does not get preferential matchmaking and can see tier 6. But to be honest, with this 85 gun and 120mm of penetration with your standard rounds, to be honest, I can't really think of a tier 6 tank in mind that could stand up to this tank. Even though it does have low HP, it still has a decent punch with that 160 alpha. But as we can see here, trying to engage this T46, aiming on the move and firing on the move in this tank is not very good. Even when standing still, the 3-second aim time is absolutely ridiculous. But one thing this tank can do is just rip apart its enemies if it has them completely nice and close. But right now I'm kind of just taking it a little bit cautiously in this game. I'm still getting used to this tank, considering it does have very long reload time, terrible aim time, and just bad accuracy all around. As well, it is also very slow, so it's very hard to reposition and move around on the battlefield. So I move forward and I'm thinking, alright, we're going to take out this T80 and the DW2 and focus our attention more on some other enemy tanks. And you can see that the 160 Alpha is just tearing these guys apart, taking off just huge chunks, not like even quarters of their health. Pretty much taking down a Type 95, that brand new Chinese heavy tank, or Japanese heavy tank at Tier 4 I should say, pretty much with one shot taking him right down to half health. Now what you saw there was my gun getting taken out by a friendly tank, and unfortunately even though I really didn't want to, I sort of had to waste my repair kit and get my gun back in action, considering it has terrible handling already, and so I need the handling back. Now one thing I did find in this battle is that I tended to lose my driver quite a bit. I already lost him one time, so I fixed him up, and now I lost him again, and there's just the accuracy of this gun, showing its ugly head and not allowing me to finish off the DW2. That was quite a lucky shot compared to all the other shots I was taking with this gun. But you can definitely see that this tank does do decently well. I only lost about half my hit points. I've already done almost 1,000 damage in this tank, and there's still a little bit more damage to be done. So I'm going to take out these Matilda and Type 95. Go for the weaker one first, just because why not? And then we can see that Matilda's completely turning his turret around, trying to take out the Panzer III, but he just gets taken out. We can see that the T28E F30 on the other side of the map tried to take a pot shot at me, but it didn't quite help. And as you can see again, you're going to have such a hard time with the weapon on this tank, considering its handling is terrible, and it took forever just to be able to aim at the other T28E with the F30 gun. But pretty much, just because this tank is so slow, the end of the game comes very quickly as this Locust dies off to the M5A1 Stuart. And that is pretty much it for this battle. So, not bad of a tank in my opinion. So guys, this was the T28E with the F30-85 gun, just showing you what it's capable of and what its handicaps are with that terrible accuracy, aim time, and just such a long reload and slow top speed, which is really going to be a crippling factor when it's trying to move around the battlefield and take out enemy tanks. But thankfully it does have a decent amount of armor, and unfortunately we did lose our driver quite a few times, as we can see, getting taken out right in the middle of the tank. So, considering we've got a decent result in this game with 1200 damage done, let's check out the post-battle results screen and see how we did on making our credits and experience potential for this tank. So ladies and gentlemen, even though I don't feel like I did the greatest this battle, we still had a decent result. We got a first class mastery badge for my first battle in this tank, we got a fire for effect medal, and a high caliber. We also made a decent profit of 38,277, and a doubled experience of 2,298 with premium. Checking out the team scores here, we got 1,244 damage, 3 kills, and 766 base experience, as well as we only fired 13 shots, and this thing carries a lot of ammo, so 13 shots is pretty much nothing, and 1,200 damage is a lot just for this kind of tier and the gun on this tank. So only 9 hit, 9 penetrated, and pretty much after everything else, considering our vehicle repairs are so cheap at tier 4, and considering it is also premium, so repair costs cost even less, and we only fired a little bit of shells, which are also very, very, very cheap too. We made the profit of the 38,000, and we ended up with a profit of 37,095. So not a bad result for that tank. It's actually pretty decent. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this short little review of the T28E with the F30 85mm gun. And if I'm going to leave you guys off with a few things, it is that there's only a few downsides to this tank that I really notice, and that really are going to affect your gameplay in this thing. And so those downsides are pretty much the very bad weapon handling of this thing, the slow top speed, and also just the terrible aim time. Like, the weapon handling on this tank is gonna be the most just degrading factor of this thing. But even after all that, with your amazing penetration and amazing alpha damage of 160, you should easily be able to rip apart your enemies and still have a ton of ammo left to deal with any other tanks you might come across. And even though it doesn't get preferential matchmaking, this tank does get APCR rounds with 161mm of penetration, and that's going to be more than enough to rip through any tier 6 tank. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this little review of the T28 F30, but pretty much the major question that comes to mind is it really worth it? And in my honest opinion, guys, I think it's pretty worth it. It's quite a unique little tank, the T28 body with an 85mm gun, and it's a really strong tank if you can get it into the right situations and give it time to aim and give it time to deal its damage. And if you can suffice over those very poor qualities, like the weapon handling, then you're easily going to be able to have great results in this tank and get amazing crew training and credit experience and just everything else with this thing. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed, and be sure to pick this up if you really like it. It's only available for the next, I don't know how many hours, but these tanks are only going to be available for 24 hours at a time because of this advent calendar event. So if you liked it, be sure to pick it up, have some fun in it. It's only about $13 Canadian, so $10 US. So be sure to leave a like, a comment, or subscribe for more amazing content. Be sure to check out some of my other videos and tanks reviews, and I will see you guys in the next video. So thanks again for watching, and have a great day. Bye bye, guys.